The perfume bottle slipped from her trembling fingers and shattered across the marble floor, its scent, sweet jasmine and iron, mingling with the sharp sting of betrayal. Dahlia Moyo stood frozen, her breath uneven, her mind refusing to accept what her eyes had seen. The silk sheets tangled on the bed, two bodies, one familiar, one forbidden. The laughter that once filled this apartment had turned into muffled gasps of shock. Dahlia, wait. Junho scrambled up, covering himself with the duvet, his face drained of color. Clarice sat up too, stammering, Madam, it's not what you think. Not what I think? Dahlia's voice cracked, half a laugh, half a sob. You're in my bed with my fiancé. What else should I think? For a heartbeat, no one moved. The city lights from Seoul's skyline flashed through the floor-to-ceiling windows, slicing the room into patches of gold and shadow. Dahlia's pulse pounded in her ears like war drums. She wanted to scream, to run, to unsee, but she couldn't. The scene cut like glass through her chest, and as she turned away, tears blurred her vision. The noise of the city below, cars honking, faint K-pop from a rooftop bar, felt cruelly normal. She stumbled into the hallway, gripping the wall to stay upright. How had it come to this? Only 6 months ago, she was the picture of success, an African slay queen living her dream in South Korea. Her face on digital billboards in Gangnam, her makeup tutorials trending on TikTok, her smile a weapon that could sell any brand. Her followers called her Queen D, the melanin muse of Seoul. And Junho Park, her handsome, polished fiancé, had seemed like the perfect prize to crown that life. He was a cosmetics executive, charming and soft-spoken, a man who'd promised to make her a global brand. When he slipped a diamond ring on her finger under the lanterns of Namsan Tower, she'd cried and thought she had finally won the life she'd fought for. But now, in this moment, everything she'd built felt like an illusion. Junho followed her into the living room, pleading, Dahlia, please, listen. It just happened. I didn't plan. Stop talking, she yelled, spinning to face him. You didn't plan? You just tripped and fell into her, is that it? Clarice appeared behind him, wrapped in a sheet, eyes wide with shame. I'm sorry, madam. I didn't mean to hurt you. Dahlia laughed bitterly. Hurt me? You worked for me, Clarice. I took you in. You cleaned my floors, washed my clothes, and you repay me like this? Clarice looked down, tears rolling silently. He said you didn't love him anymore. He said you were using him. Shut up. Junho snapped, but the damage was done. Dahlia's face twisted, every word piercing her chest. Using you? After everything I gave up for you? You think this life, was free? I fought every day to belong here, to be accepted, and you tell your little side piece I don't love you? Her hands shook as she wiped her tears. You both disgust me. She stormed to the balcony, the cold wind slapping her face. The neon city shimmered below, beautiful, indifferent. For the first time, it felt like it wasn't hers. Her reflection in the glass didn't look like Queen D, the influencer adored by thousands. It looked like a stranger unraveling. Behind her, Junho muttered something in Korean under his breath. Dahlia turned sharply. Don't you dare hide behind your language now. Speak to me, not at me. He sighed, you changed, Dahlia. It's like you care more about your followers than about us. That sentence cracked something inside her. You knew who I was when you met me, she whispered. You said you loved that I was strong, ambitious. Now suddenly it's too much? Silence. Clarice sobbed quietly near the doorway. The smell of broken perfume lingered, expensive, suffocating. Dahlia felt the walls closing in. The betrayal wasn't just romantic, it was existential. It mocked everything she stood for. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table, a notification from Instagram, Queen D, we miss your glow. When's the wedding? She stared at it, her hand trembling. That was the moment something inside her broke. She grabbed the phone, hurled it against the wall, watched it shatter into glittering pieces. Junho took a step forward. Dahlia, calm down. Let's talk. Don't come near me. But he did. He reached out, trying to grab her arm. Please, I made a mistake. She shoved him away. You made a choice. Clarice cried out, Madam, please. Get out of my house. Dahlia screamed. Both of you. Clarice rushed to collect her scattered clothes. Junho stood motionless, guilt painted across his face. Dahlia walked toward the bedroom again, then stopped, staring at the mess, the sheets, the perfume, the ring on the bedside table. Her voice was barely a whisper now. Do you know what it's like to build yourself from nothing? To stand out in a country where everyone looks at you like you don't belong, and then the one person who said he loved you turns you into a joke? No one answered. She picked up the engagement ring, stared at it, and hurled it at Junho's chest. It bounced off and rolled under the sofa. Clarice flinched. Madam, please, don't hate me. I swear, I didn't plan it. He told me he'd break up with you soon. Dahlia's eyes went wide with disbelief. He what? She turned to Junho. Is that true? He rubbed his temples. Dahlia, I was going to tell you. Things were complicated. You've been so focused on your career, you're complicated, she repeated softly. You were sleeping with my maid in our home, Junho. That's not complicated, that's disgusting. The clock on the wall ticked loudly in the silence that followed. Finally, she said, leave. Both of you. Right now. Clarice hesitated. Where will I go? I don't care. Dahlia's voice was like steel. You lost that privilege the moment you betrayed me. As the door slammed shut behind them, Dahlia collapsed onto the floor, sobbing so hard she could barely breathe. The city lights blurred through her tears. Every laugh, every photo, every loving caption she'd ever posted now felt like a lie. Hours passed before she moved again. When dawn broke over Seoul, the apartment felt too large, too quiet. Her reflection in the window showed red eyes, smudged makeup, and a woman she barely recognized. She picked up her broken phone, pieced it together enough to scroll through her old photos. There they were, her and Junho smiling under cherry blossoms, their hands intertwined, Clarice in the background taking the picture. The irony hit like a knife. Her followers were still flooding her inbox with messages, you two are my favorite couple. I want a love like yours. If only they knew. That morning, Dahlia deleted her social media accounts. Every trace of Queen D vanished. The internet screamed in confusion, gossip blogs speculated, but she didn't care. She booked a room at a small hotel near the Han River and disappeared for 2 days. She didn't answer calls. Not even from her manager, not from Junho. She just stared out the window at the water, replaying everything in her head. When she finally returned to her apartment, she found a note slid under her door. It was from Clarice. Madam, I'm sorry. He told me lies. I didn't mean to destroy your life. Please forgive me. I'm leaving Seoul tomorrow. Dahlia crumpled the note, but her hands shook too much to throw it away. Part of her wanted to hate the girl forever. Another part wanted to believe her. That night, she poured herself a glass of soju and sat on the couch in the dark. The city outside pulsed with light and music, but inside, the silence was heavy. She whispered to herself, I lost everything to look perfect. Tears fell again, slow and silent. Then her phone buzzed. Unknown number. A text, we need to talk. Please, before I leave. Clarice. Dahlia stared at it for a long time, her mind spinning. Every instinct told her to ignore it, but something, curiosity, maybe pride, made her type back. Fine. Tomorrow. 7 p.m. Cafe Aria. She hit send. Her reflection in the glass looked colder now. Determined. Whatever happened next, she promised herself one thing: this time, she would not be the fool. The next evening, Dahlia arrived at Café Aria, the dim lights of the small Seoul bistro casting long shadows over the wooden floor. Her heels clicked against the tiles as she scanned the room. Clarice sat in the corner, hunched over, her hands wrapped tightly around a mug of steaming tea. The sight made Dahlia's chest tighten, partly with anger, partly with disbelief that this same girl had been in her bed just 24 hours ago. Clarice looked up, eyes wide and red-rimmed. "Madam," her voice trembled. "Thank you for meeting me." Dahlia pulled out the chair opposite her and sat down, crossing her arms. "You have 5 minutes to explain yourself, Clarice. 5 minutes to tell me why you destroyed everything I trusted you with." Clarice swallowed hard. I didn't plan it. He told me he was unhappy. That you were too distant. He made it sound like it was okay, like it wouldn't matter. I thought maybe he loved me too." Dahlia laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "You thought? Do you even realize what that word means in this room right now? You thought, and it became reality? You thought, and my entire life crumbled?" Tears ran down Clarice's cheeks. "I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you. I swear." "Do you know what it's like," Dahlia said, voice low, dangerous, "to see the people you trusted turn into strangers in your own home? To look at someone you love and realize they were playing you the whole time?" Clarice flinched, shaking her head. "I know. I see that now. I was wrong. I don't deserve your forgiveness." Dahlia leaned forward, eyes glinting. "And yet here you are, asking for it." Clarice nodded, unable to speak. The tension between them was electric, a fragile wire stretched tight. Around them, soft music played, cups clinked, but Dahlia only heard her own heartbeat and the echo of betrayal. "Why him?" Dahlia asked finally, her voice barely a whisper. "Why Junho?" Clarice's lips trembled. I don't know. It was a mistake. I wasn't thinking." You weren't thinking?" Dahlia repeated, incredulous. "You weren't thinking? You're standing here telling me your entire plan was a mistake? You slept with him knowing he was my fiancé, my partner in everything?" Clarice's head dropped. Dahlia slammed her hand on the table. The mugs rattled, the barista glanced their way. "Do you have any idea what you've done? Do you have any idea how many nights I've cried thinking I was loved, thinking I had it all? And it was all a lie." Clarice flinched, tears spilling over. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, I'll leave Seoul. I'll never bother you again." You'll leave?" Dahlia's laugh was hollow. "You think leaving fixes it? Do you know how easy it is for someone like you to disappear while I'm left here cleaning up the mess?" Clarice's voice was small. "I can't undo it. I know. I can only apologize." Dahlia leaned back, silent for a moment, trying to steady her breathing. Her mind raced. "This is insane. I can't believe this happened. I can't believe I'm even sitting here listening to her." "Fine," she said finally, her tone hard. "You're leaving Seoul. Tomorrow morning. I don't want to see you again. And Junho," she paused, teeth clenched. "If he tries to contact me, I swear I will ruin him." Clarice nodded, relief and terror written on her face. "Yes, madam. I understand." The waitress came by, refilling Clarice's tea, and Dahlia realized she hadn't even ordered. She waved her away. She didn't care about tea, coffee, or anyone's gaze. All that mattered was the betrayal, and the knowledge that the world outside didn't care. Later that night, Dahlia returned to her apartment. The place felt emptier than ever. Every picture frame, every plant, every trophy of success suddenly felt like a cruel reminder. She walked into her bedroom and paused, looking at the bed where the betrayal had occurred. The sheets were now clean, but the memory clung to her like smoke. She sank onto the edge, burying her face in her hands. "I trusted you both," she whispered to the empty room. "I loved him. And you, both of you, just broke me." Hours passed, and as the sun began to rise over Seoul, Dahlia found herself scrolling through her phone again. Her followers, oblivious to the chaos, had begun speculating about her sudden disappearance. "Where's Queen D? Did something happen to her?" Comments flooded in, some worried, some gossiping. She didn't respond. She couldn't. Not yet. 2 days later, a knock on her door startled her. She peeked through the peephole. A delivery man held a large envelope. She signed for it, and he left. Inside was a thick stack of photos, her and Junho, her and Clarice, some with both of them, candid shots from months ago. Alongside the photos, a letter. "You will want to see the truth. Meet me. Midnight. Han River Park. Alone." Her pulse raced. She recognized the handwriting. Junho's. Dahlia stared at the letter, torn between fury and curiosity. The betrayal had been laid bare, yet a part of her needed to hear his side. Needed to know if the man she loved had been fully complicit or manipulated by Clarice. By midnight, she was at Han River Park, the cold wind biting her cheeks. The river reflected the city lights like molten silver. Junho stood by the railing, hands shoved into his coat pockets, staring at the water. "You came," he said without looking at her. "I had to," Dahlia replied, voice cold. "Why? Why Clarice? Why now?" He ran a hand through his hair. "It wasn't supposed to happen like that. I never wanted you to see. I made a mistake. I was lonely, stressed, and I felt ignored." "Lonely?" Dahlia's laugh was hollow. "You live in a city of millions, with everything at your fingertips, and you felt lonely? You betrayed me, in my home, with my maid, because you felt lonely?" Junho flinched. "It wasn't just that. Clarice, she said things I wanted to hear. I was weak. I wasn't thinking." "Not thinking?" Dahlia's voice rose. "You weren't thinking. Do you know what it feels like to rebuild yourself from nothing, to fight every day to be respected, to be adored for who you are, and then the person you love turns around and shatters it all?" Junho's voice was desperate. "I'm sorry. Please, I can't lose you. I still love you." Dahlia shook her head, tears stinging her eyes. "Love doesn't hurt the person it claims to care about. You're gone, Junho. Don't speak to me again." She turned to leave, but something inside her shifted. The anger, the heartbreak, it wasn't enough. She needed more than closure. She needed justice, a reckoning. Over the next few days, Dahlia began documenting everything: texts, emails, photos, even the broken Instagram accounts. She hired a private investigator to track Clarice's movements. She wanted to understand every moment, every lie, every plan that had led to her humiliation. When she learned that Clarice was planning to leave Seoul that night, she followed the trail quietly. From a distance, she watched Clarice packing in a small apartment, bags haphazardly thrown together, her expression a mix of guilt and fear. Dahlia felt a pang of something unexpected, sympathy? Or was it satisfaction that she had control over this ending now? As Clarice stepped out into the night, Dahlia confronted her. "Going somewhere?" Her voice cut through the cold air. Clarice froze. "Madam, I told you I was leaving. And yet here you are, facing me. I want to know one thing before you disappear: why betray me in the first place?" Clarice's voice was trembling. "I don't know. Love? Loneliness? I was weak. I wanted to feel important." "Important?" Dahlia's voice was icy. "You've made a stranger of yourself, and you call this importance?" Clarice lowered her eyes. I can't take it back. I know. I will never forgive myself. Dahlia studied her for a long moment, feeling the weight of anger, grief, and power swirl inside her. She finally whispered, leave. And don't ever cross my path again. If you do, I won't just hurt you, I'll ruin everything you touch. Clarice nodded, shivering, and disappeared into the Seoul night. Dahlia watched her go, the wind whipping through her hair, her heart still pounding. She had survived the worst betrayal imaginable, and yet, she felt an unfamiliar calm. She had reclaimed something, control. The city was alive, indifferent, and dazzling. And she was still here. Dahlia returned to her apartment, the city lights reflecting off the glass like 1,000 tiny betrayals staring back at her. She didn't sleep that night, her mind spinning with plans, with thoughts of Junho and Clarice, with the betrayal still burning in her chest. She needed closure, a reckoning, something that would make the hours of sleepless nights and tears mean something. By morning, she had made a decision. She would confront Junho one last time. Not for love, not for forgiveness, but for truth. She found him at the cafe where they had first met months ago, a place that had once symbolized hope and laughter. Now, it felt like a stage set for humiliation. Junho was waiting, fidgeting with his coffee cup, guilt written in every line of his face. You came, he said softly, almost relieved. I did, Dahlia replied, her voice low and steady. I need the truth. No excuses, no lies. I want everything you haven't told me. He swallowed hard. I didn't plan to hurt you. I thought I could manage it. Clarice, she came on to me. I was weak. Enough. Dahlia slammed her hand on the table. You've said all of that before. I want the part you've been hiding. The part that makes this worse than I already know. He flinched. You're right. I didn't just sleep with her once. It went on for months. Every time I thought I'd tell you, I didn't. Every time I felt guilty, I convinced myself you'd never understand. That you were too busy, too focused on your career, too perfect. Dahlia's stomach dropped. Months? Her voice trembled, half with anger, half with disbelief. You mean to tell me that every smile, every date, every promise, was a lie? It was real. I love you, he shouted, voice cracking. I thought I loved you. You thought you loved me? Dahlia's laugh was bitter, sharp enough to cut glass. Do you understand how that sounds? I gave you my trust, my home, my future, and you laughed at it behind my back? Junho's eyes filled with tears. I was stupid. I made mistakes. Dahlia stood, pacing the cafe, her heels clicking on the floor. Mistakes? Mistakes don't happen in your own bed with someone you know is betraying the person who loves you most. That's a choice, Junho. A deliberate choice. He looked up at her, desperate. Please, Dahlia, I can fix it. I'll leave her. I'll do anything. Just don't end this. Dahlia stopped pacing and stared at him, her reflection in the cafe window showing a woman transformed. The tears and heartbreak were still there, but they had hardened into steel. You think leaving her fixes this? You think saying sorry erases the months of lies, the nights I cried wondering what I did wrong, the humiliation of knowing that my maid, the person I trusted, could be in my bed? Junho's face fell. I didn't know how to stop it. I was scared. Scared? Dahlia repeated, her voice echoing off the walls. Scared. You think that excuses betrayal? She leaned close, her eyes blazing. Do you know what it feels like to realize the person you trusted most in this world doesn't deserve your trust at all? To watch someone you love destroy themselves, and you're the cause? Junho shook his head, speechless. Dahlia took a deep breath. You're done. Not just with me, but with this life you thought you could manipulate. You're going to leave Seoul, or I'll make sure your career, your friends, your family, every bit of comfort you think you have, disappears. And believe me, I'm very good at getting what I want." The finality in her voice shocked him. He realized she wasn't begging, wasn't pleading. She was commanding. And he had no choice but to obey. Later that night, Dahlia returned to her apartment, a strange mix of exhaustion and exhilaration coursing through her veins. She sat on the couch, looking at the broken perfume bottle, the scattered photos, the shattered remnants of her former life. For the first time in weeks, she felt something else, control. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. "Dahlia?" Clarice's voice was soft, hesitant. "Yes," Dahlia said, her voice sharp. "Speak." I wanted to tell you before I left Seoul. I didn't plan anything. Junho manipulated me. He lied to me. I just..." Dahlia cut her off. "I know enough. Don't contact me again. If I hear from you one more time, I'll make sure you regret it." There was a pause. Then, quietly, Clarice whispered, "I'm sorry." Dahlia hung up, her hands shaking slightly. The rage and grief hadn't disappeared, but they were no longer in control. She felt free. The following weeks were a blur of rebuilding. Dahlia's social media accounts stayed offline. She started documenting her experiences privately, pouring her emotions into a journal, her story raw and unfiltered. She reached out to her manager to rework her brand, not as Queen D, the untouchable influencer, but as a survivor, a woman who had faced betrayal and emerged stronger. And then came the final shock, an unexpected twist that even Dahlia hadn't anticipated. One evening, as she was leaving a meeting with a brand sponsor, she received an anonymous envelope. Inside were screenshots, messages between Junho and a private investigator he had hired months ago, before the affair was even discovered. The messages revealed something chilling. Junho had planned to slowly manipulate Dahlia, isolate her, and make her dependent on him before finally discarding her. Clarice had been part of the plan, though he claimed he didn't know it would go this far. Dahlia read and reread the messages, her stomach twisting. She realized that the betrayal had been larger, more calculated than she had ever imagined. Her entire relationship had been a setup, a test of control. And yet, she had survived it. Not unscathed, not untouched, but she had survived. The rage that surged through her wasn't blind anymore. It was precise. She knew what she had to do. The next day, Junho called. She let it ring. Then she texted him, calmly. "I know everything. Do not contact me again. Consider this the last mercy you will ever receive." Within hours, she had begun filing formal complaints, documenting his manipulation for legal purposes. She wasn't doing it for revenge. She was doing it for justice, for herself, for the woman she had fought to become. Months later, Dahlia stood on a stage at a beauty and empowerment conference in Seoul. The city lights twinkled behind her as she addressed an audience of thousands. She spoke of ambition, of betrayal, of survival. She spoke with a raw honesty that made her story unforgettable. And in that moment, the woman who had been broken, manipulated, and humiliated, the woman who had cried over betrayal in a city that never slept, realized something: she was untouchable. Not because she was perfect, but because she had faced the darkest depths of deceit and come out stronger. Her phone buzzed once more. A text from an unknown number. She ignored it, sipping her champagne as the crowd cheered. Whatever it was, a threat, apology, or gossip, didn't matter. Dahlia had taken back her life, and nothing would ever take it from her again. The city below shimmered like 1,000 secrets waiting to be discovered. And Dahlia Moyo, the African slay queen who had once been betrayed, smiled. She had survived. She had risen. And she was unstoppable. But when Dahlia returned to her apartment after weeks of sleepless nights and quiet scheming, she had pieced together the full story. Junho hadn't just betrayed her, he had plotted it all from the start. Clarice had been his pawn. Every text, every secret meeting, every stolen kiss had been calculated. Her anger had turned into something sharper, colder. She wasn't just hurt anymore. She was ready to take control and pay him back in his coin. The next night, she invited Junho over under the guise of reconciliation. He arrived, nervous, guilt written on every line of his face. "Dahlia, please. I've left her." He began. "Shut up," Dahlia said, her voice ice. "Sit." He obeyed, fear creeping in. Dahlia poured 2 glasses of wine. "I want to talk about Clarice," she said. Junho flinched. She's gone. I ended it. I swear." "Gone?" Dahlia repeated, her tone calm, but every syllable was laced with venom. "She's not gone. She's here." Before he could respond, the door creaked open. Clarice appeared, silent, holding something behind her back. Junho froze. "Clarice," he whispered. "I warned you both," she said softly. "And you didn't listen." Dahlia took a step forward. "You betrayed me." "He betrayed me. And now someone has to pay the price." The room was electric with tension. Junho's eyes darted between the 2 women. "Dahlia. Clarice, please, don't." The first gunshot echoed before he could finish. Clarice's hand shook as the weapon discharged, the bullet striking Junho in the chest. He collapsed to the floor, coughing, blood spreading across the pristine carpet. Dahlia stepped back, heart hammering. "Clarice, what have you done?" "I did what had to be done," Clarice said quietly. Her face was pale, almost serene. He would never have stopped hurting people. He deserved this. Junho gasped, his life fading fast. You'll regret this." "Not me," Dahlia said, her voice steady. "You." Within minutes, the room was a swirl of panic, blood, and betrayal realized in its ultimate form. The city outside kept moving, oblivious to the tragedy unfolding in this high-rise apartment. When the police finally arrived, Dahlia and Clarice had vanished. But the evidence was there, a shattered trust, a dead fiancé, and a note Dahlia had left on the counter. Betrayal has a price. Never forget it. The story made headlines across Seoul, an African social media queen caught in a scandal, her maid implicated in a murder, and a Korean businessman dead under mysterious circumstances. Everyone asked the same question: what had driven these women to such lengths? The murder of Korean businessman Junho Park remains one of the most shocking cases to grip Seoul's upper social circles in recent years. Once celebrated for his charm and business acumen, Junho's life ended violently one autumn night in his luxury high-rise apartment. What began as a tale of romance and ambition spiraled into a web of deceit, manipulation, and revenge that ultimately left 1 man dead and 2 women missing. According to investigators, Junho had been romantically involved with Dahlia Moyo, a prominent African influencer known for her magnetic presence in the city's fashion and media scene. Unknown to her at the time, Junho was also entangled with Clarice, Dahlia's close confidant and personal assistant. Police reports later revealed that Junho had orchestrated both relationships with cold precision, allegedly manipulating the 2 women for personal and psychological control. Evidence uncovered in the aftermath painted a disturbing picture. Months before his death, Junho had hired a private investigator to monitor Dahlia's every move, allegedly as part of a plan to isolate and emotionally break her. Screenshots recovered from an anonymous tip detailed conversations where he discussed teaching her dependence and testing loyalty. It was manipulation masquerading as love, a cruel game with devastating consequences. While investigators have confirmed Junho's cruelty and emotional exploitation, many agree that he did not deserve to die. No matter how deceitful or calculating he was, there were other paths to justice, said Inspector Min Kyu, one of the lead detectives on the case. Taking a life crosses a line that no betrayal can justify. On the night of the murder, security footage captured Junho entering Dalia's apartment just before 9 p.m. He was never seen alive again. Neighbors reported hearing shouting, followed by a single gunshot. When police arrived hours later, the apartment was empty, except for Junho's lifeless body and a chilling handwritten note on the counter: "Betrayal has a price. Never forget it." Clarice and Dalia vanished without a trace. Their phones were deactivated, and no digital footprints have been detected since that night. International warrants have been issued, and both women are currently listed as fugitives wanted for questioning in connection with Junho's murder. Despite extensive searches, their whereabouts remain unknown. Some speculate they fled the country, others believe they may be hiding somewhere in South Korea, protected by sympathetic acquaintances. In the months following the tragedy, public opinion has been divided. Some see Dalia and Clarice as victims pushed beyond their limits by a manipulative man. Others argue that what happened was premeditated revenge disguised as self-liberation. Regardless of motive, the facts remain stark: a man is dead, 2 women are missing, and a city is left haunted by the dangerous intersection of love, power, and deception. The Seoul Metropolitan Police continue to pursue new leads, vowing that justice, no matter how tangled the story, will one day be served.